Hi, this is Pete Brandano, and this is my first quarter 2023 North Carolina commercial real estate market update. Can you believe that we are almost at the end of the first quarter? Thanks for joining me today on my lightning round. I'm going to try and keep it as efficient as possible out of respect for your time. This update is North Carolina centric, but I'm hoping that even if you're not from our great state, you'll be able to benefit from some of the content here. If you're outside of North Carolina, I would love to hear from you on what's going on in your market. And if you're inside North Carolina, I want to hear about your sub-market. So let's get rolling. A presenter's perspective check and disclosure. 2002 was my dive out of the Fortune 500 industry into our awesome real estate industry. I thought 2003 to 2006 was a normal market. I thought I was a genius picking gold up off the street. 2007 is when my partners and I bought our awesome real estate company in southeastern North Carolina. I'm no longer down there. I'm pretty much in Charlotte most of the time, but I'm still back and forth. I still consider southeastern North Carolina one of my homes. But yeah, great timing on the 2007 thing. That's me up at the top. Yep, picture the click, click, click roller coaster thing going on. So look, here's the deal. If at the end of this lightning round, you think to yourself or say out loud, hey, whatever that guy says, I'm doing the opposite. I am good with that. I am okay with being one of your canaries in the coal mine. And yeah, that was all of us back in the 2008 period, right? The Great Recession, that long drop off, the steep drop off the cliff, the long run along the bottom. That's me in the lower left. What happened moment, wondering what I've just done to my family. What have I done to this great company? Thinking I've gone stupid overnight. We didn't realize that we were swimming in the tsunami then, did we? So yeah, we were. And I've got a saying from experience. When you're standing on the beach and you look out and you see the tsunami on the horizon, the time for running is long since past. You better be a darn good swimmer. And we were all swimming in it then for sure, weren't we? Just a brief note on what's going on right now with the financial institutions stress. Some of us are wondering aloud if these are signs of other major cracks going on out there. Is this the next earthquake that's going to set off the tsunami? Is this another TARP redux or no? Yeah, some of us are looking out and wondering if that next tsunami is out beyond the horizon. Just a quick PSA, a public service announcement. Like you, I've got some really smart friends in my world, and some of them, some of my mentors and Jedis are saying that this bubble is going to be far worse than 2008, which quite honestly scares me to death. I don't fall in that camp. I'm somewhere in the middle. There are others that say, no way, it's not going to be nearly as bad. So it's going to be really interesting to see where all of this goes for sure. So now that I've got your attention, a word on crystal balls, because they have been whipsawing and flying around like I've never seen before, right? I mean, I have been firmly in the camp that the fundamentals are much better this time around. And of course, that smacked some of us right upside the head a couple of weeks ago with this banking thing. But I still stick to that. I don't think there's a tsunami on the horizon, or at least a big one. No 2008 tsunami, and I hope I'm right with that. I do couch my analysis and my prognostications, or at least I try to couch them in facts and data. I had an old boss at Hanes when I was Hanes Underwear under the Sara Lee Knit Products umbrella that used to say, he's the director of manufacturing, and he would say, "In God we trust. Everybody else better bring facts and data." Well, I've tried to live by that ever since. But here are some brief facts and data. 35,000 foot view in a mantra. I bet if you're out there and you're here in our great state of North Carolina, you would agree with me, or most of you, that from the mountains to the sea, we have one of the best pieces of land in the country, if not the world, in our great state, right? It's just a fact. Go with me on this for a second. Picture the global investor funnel. Now, look, I realize there are multiple funnels out there, right? But, and I'm going to pick on the Charlotte region. We happen to be at the beneficiary of being at the end of one of those great funnels. And North Carolina is as well. But so is Raleigh. The Triad has its own funnel. The Mountain region, I would argue, has its own funnel. And the coastal region has its own funnel. So again, if you look at the global investor community, a lot of those folks want to be investing in the United States. From there, they want to be investing in North Carolina. And then to pick on Charlotte, and there are a lot of folks want to be investing in our Charlotte region. There is a lot of then and now chatter going on. Then being the Great Recession to now, right? And justifiably so. We all try and hang our hat on what we know. Let's go again with Charlotte as the example. Then in Charlotte, 2008, we were a top of market financial center, and we still are. But I would argue, and I have argued cordially with some of my colleagues about this, that we were pretty much a one-trick pony back then, right? We had banking, which is a great core, but that's part of why I say this region got the rug pulled out from under it so abruptly back then. If you look at Raleigh in comparison, Raleigh has had the Research Triangle Park thing, still does, government, and the university system. So a really diverse economy. Charlotte, we're pretty much banking centric. I have been amazed there. It's been breathtaking to watch the revitalization, how quickly we've reinvented ourselves in this region. Fast forward to today, we still have that great core, that great banking core, that great top of financial market center. But now we've got the logistics hub thing going for us. And we had some logistics back then, but even more so now, which is near and dear to my heart because I'm an old logistics guy. You've got Charleston, Wilmington, Norfolk, and of course, Savannah feeding into our airport here. And there's just a lot going on with the logistics business in our region. And then we've got the tech, not just fintech, but tech. And then we've got the medical thing going. Take a look at the Pearl Innovation District. So a lot of great stuff going on in this region. And then, yeah, North Carolina right up at the top, the Emerging Trends Report for this year, the 2023 PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and ULI report has Charlotte listed as the #1 18-hour city. Nashville's actually jumped up into the 24-hour category now. And then Raleigh is listed as a supernova. CNBC, for the first time ever, has ranked our great state as #1 in the country to do business, and for darn good reason. Look, I've had the honor and the privilege of serving in our industry in various roles on the legislative side of our business for about a decade. And as crazy as some of us like to think our politics are here, they're really not that crazy. Most folks outside of here, outside of North Carolina, look at us as pretty darn stable, and that bodes pretty well for us in the long run. And then, yeah, Zillow has the Charlotte housing market as #1, projected to be #1 for 2023. So we're going to see where that goes. A lot going on in a positive way there. This metric is fascinating to me. Of course, job growth and net immigration continue to be strong in our region. The Charlotte Regional Business Alliance has projected growth for our region at 50% through 2050. Now think about that. That's like taking 3 Raleighs and dropping them into our MSA. I'm not talking about the Raleigh MSA. I'm talking about 3 Raleigh propers and dropping them into the Charlotte MSA. Breathtaking projections, even if they're off by a factor, still quite a bit. Raleigh, even more on the growth side. I've seen as low as 60% and as high as 79%. And then you can take across the state by submarket, most of the submarkets, take the mountain region, the coastal region, and the Triad region are projected to have strong growth. Not necessarily in that 50 to 79% range, but strong growth. Look, there's no national weather map and there's no national real estate map, right? We all know the old saying, all real estate is local. Well, I take that saying and I modify it a little bit and I say all real estate is relative to location. But here's another fact. Relatively speaking, we're in a great region for a variety of strong fundamental reasons, right? It's just not something that can be taken away from us. It's something that's been built up over years. and that's a fact. So I want to touch briefly on this metric, the housing metric, the inventory number there, because it is a number that's near and dear to my heart. It's a metric that is very difficult to spin or manipulate. I've tracked it for about 2 decades now, and it's rarely steered me wrong. Most of us concur that 6 months is considered a balanced market. So when I see 2 months or under, I've seen under a month. We've had that in various regions here in the Charlotte area and across the state. That's really no inventory, folks. The last time the Charlotte region was balanced, according to our MLS, our residential MLS here, was in 2018. Some folks say, hey, Pete, why do you care about housing? You're a commercial real estate practitioner. Well, most of us know that as housing goes, so goes the rest of us, right? I mean, housing is one of the key engines for the real estate and economic train. So it's going to be really interesting to see where housing goes with the interest rate thing and the stress in the financial sector. We're all going to be keeping a watch on housing. And if you don't track inventory, I strongly suggest you track housing inventory in your region for one of your key indicators. Okay, commanders, a report from the field. What are we seeing as we continue to exit the pandemic? Well, the supercharged sectors, right? Residential, multifamily, industrial, some slowdown in residential and multifamily. My industrial peeps tell me that that sector is still hot. And for darn good reason, as we talked about a few minutes ago, about what's going on with the ports that feed into our area here. Sectors that are still trying to figure out who they want to be, what they want to be, retail and office, the work from home thing, the hybrid thing. I still say we're a long way from figuring that out. We are still having a difficult time getting folks into our towers in the CBD area in Charlotte. I don't care what anybody tells you. We are not back to pre-pandemic levels there. We've seen some folks going into the towers and back to work, but it's certainly not pre-pandemic. And then when you project that out across our fruited plain across the country, take cities like Chicago or New York, it's going to be really interesting to see where the office sector goes. Density in our region, we don't know density. Some folks complain to me about density all the time in Charlotte. And look, I spent quite a bit of time in Asia when I was in the corporate world. And when my colleagues from Asia come over to Charlotte, they don't see density. They see a park, right? And I think that's going to bode really well for us in the post-pandemic world. And then with my appraiser's hat on, we're seeing many owners and investors that are trying to figure out what they've got, what it's worth, repositioning of assets, some retail to last mile distribution. There's a lot of talk about the office to housing or affordable housing thing. And I don't know about that. I like the idea for sure, because we all know we have to solve the affordable housing problem. But it's one thing to convert condo to multifamily or apartments. It's a much different ball of wax to convert office to housing. I was speaking with one of my really talented general contractor friends recently, and I said, Kevin, what do you think about that? And he said, Pete, there's 3 problems with converting office to housing: plumbing, mechanical, electrical. And he's right. We can't just wave a magic wand. It's just a completely different animal than either condo to apartment or apartment back to condo. So hopefully we can figure that out and maybe convert some of that in the long run as necessary. But to me, what that means is opportunities for the vigilant, right? Solution finding and problem solvers unite. They're going to be opportunities for all of you folks out there that know how to tag and find solutions to some of those problems. So in summary to this lightning round today, sing it with me. Nothing could be finer, and I'm not going to sing it to you, I promise. Nothing could be finer than to be in Carolina in the morning, afternoon, and night. I still say that our fundamentals remain strong, despite what's happened in the past couple of weeks. We'll see how close I am to predicting that accurately in the coming weeks and months. And then, yes, some relative pain in the near term. And my near term, I'm saying 18 to 24 months of fuzzy crystal balls. I think mid and long run in our region in North Carolina, South Carolina, we are good. but some short-term pain for sure, some turbulence out there for sure. Ed Yardini, most of us know Yardini Research. We all know hard landing. We all know soft landing. Ed recently talked about no landing. I was like, what the heck? No landing with inflation, no landing without inflation. So flip a multi-sided coin on that. And then there's the black swan stuff that's happened over the past couple of weeks with the stress in the financial institution market. That's certainly been a black swan that came out of left field and smacked a lot of us in the side of the head. There's the what we don't know impact factor on the crystal ball. God forbid the Ukraine war expand, balloons from China, COVID redux, who knows, circle of control on all that kind of stuff, right? But regardless of where things go, did I say it's a great time to be in North Carolina? Yeah, I truly believe it is. And to be quite honest, I'm grateful as always to be in our great country. And I hope you are too. We're fortunate to be here. I think we would all agree on that. There's some lessons reinforced along my book journey as we wrap up this lightning round today, otherwise known as things I like to remind myself. Yeah, circle of control time. I continue to focus on my circle of control and influence, those relationships that people that have helped me cross finish lines in my life, and you know who you are out there that have helped me do that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. The teamwork makes the dream work thing is real. And then look, we're all endurance athletes in business life, all of it, whether you know it or not, you're an endurance athlete, especially if you're in this business, and just keep that in mind. And then look, the valleys and the uphill climbs, they're going to come. I wish I could take them away from my family. I wish I could take them away from you, but we've got choices, right? I've got an acronym. It's called TUFRA. How do we treat, face, react, and attack those valleys and uphill climbs when we encounter them, right? We've got choices. And then we all have a story to tell, and only we can tell it. There's no competition for your story, right? Who would benefit from your story, from your buried treasure, in whatever form you choose to tell it? Don't take it with you, share it. Somebody needs to hear your story. And then I love this one. Some folks like to say it's a marathon, not a sprint. I say it's a marathon and a sprint, and I darn well better recognize when I'm running a marathon. Otherwise, I might not cross the finish line, right? I mean, if I come out of the gate and I think I'm running a sprint and it's actually a marathon, I'm in trouble. So I need to be able to adjust my pace, hit that hill, and cross that finish line. Or how about helping somebody else recognize when they're running a marathon? Sometimes when we're in the middle of it, in the middle of a storm, we don't really realize we're there or in it. So you might end up being a blessing to somebody else to help them figure out that they're running a marathon and help them cross their finish line. So that is it for this lightning round. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm wishing you strength and endurance in your valleys and uphill climbs, and a life filled with awesome peaks and cross finish lines. Again, thanks. God bless.